Good morning. I'm pleased to declare Quinnipiac University's 2014 graduate commencement exercises for the College of Arts and Sciences, School of Business, School of Communications, and School of Education officially open. Would you please stand for the invocation, which will be delivered by Pastor Andrew Ober, Protestant Chaplain.
Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for today. We invite you here. We thank you for Quinnipiac and for these graduates and for all who made today possible. Allow us and them to celebrate today the blessing of education and remember the responsibility it bestows. Today, remind them of their callings, provide them with new wisdom, and restore in them a passion for their vocation. We pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the members of our platform party, which consists of our speaker, an honorary degree recipient, who you will meet in a few moments, university administrators, and the deans and program directors of our schools and college. I now present Dr. John L. Lahey, president of Quinnipiac University, who will bring you greetings on behalf of the university community.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to all of you on this joyous occasion. To each and every one of our graduates today, I want to extend my heartiest congratulations. You should all feel justifiably proud of your accomplishments and most deserving of the degrees that will be conferred upon you. This year's graduating class has had exceptional performance in the classroom and in your various internship experiences. And as a result, there are many exciting and rewarding careers that await you. Quinnipiac's academic reputation continues to advance, and many of our graduate programs are receiving national recognition, including our School of Business being ranked again this year among the top 100 business schools nationally. And our programs in molecular and cell biology, communications, and education also enjoy strong national reputations for excellence. All of these achievements in graduate education are clearly a consequence of the exceptional work of our outstanding faculty and the excellent leadership of our deans and program directors. In the final analysis, though, the quality of our graduate programs will be judged best by our graduates and your professional achievements in the years ahead. Graduates of the class of 2014, you have truly excelled during your years at Quinnipiac University, and I have no doubt that you will be outstanding leaders in your chosen professions. Again, my congratulations and best wishes to each and every one of you.
I now call Kirsten E. Owens forward. Kirsten is a graduating Master's of Business Administration student and member of the Graduate Student Council, who will welcome you on behalf of the graduates.
Thank you, President Lahey. Good morning. On behalf of the graduate student body, I'd like to welcome families, friends, faculty, staff, distinguished guests, and especially the graduates of the class of 2014 to our commencement ceremony this morning. I am truly honored to stand here and share this special day with you all. A day that I know has been long awaited. For some of us, this milestone marks our entry into the real world. For others, it may mean returning to an existing career with a newfound knowledge. No matter which description applies best to your situation, I think we all share something in common: fear. If you're like me, you've strategized your life like a carefully executed military plan. However, I recognize that life sometimes spontaneously offers paths of unfamiliar territory. Does this make me fearful? You bet. Do not mistake fear of the unknown as a bad thing. Engage this fear to help you achieve your wildest dreams. You must push yourself to do what you're most afraid of, because this is where success lies. I'd like to leave you with a quote from a man who did not let fear get in the way of success, Steve Jobs. Jobs said, "Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown your inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become." I wish you health and happiness in your future and the satisfaction of knowing that whatever you do, as a Quinnipiac University graduate, you will do it well. Congratulations, class of 2014. We did it.
Thank you, Kirsten. I now call Guy Adami, Osman Kilic, and John Lahey to come forward for the conferral of the honorary degree.
Guy Adami, you help us to make sense of vagaries of the stock market each afternoon as one of the knowledgeable traders on CNBC's Fast Money show. You also share your market perspectives online as managing director of Option Monster, which provides market analysis and portfolio strategy for both institutional money managers and do-it-yourself investors. You launched your career at Drexel Burnham Lambert, trading energy and metals before joining Goldman Sachs to help lead its U.S. Equities Basic Material Group. At the Financial Leadership Forum, hosted by our School of Business in 2008, you told our students that nobody ever got rich watching a TV program. When it comes to investing, you said, do your homework, because nobody cares about your money more than you do. You also volunteer your time each spring as a keynote panelist at GAME, the university's annual Global Asset Management Education Forum. In your spare time, you are active with the New Jersey chapter of Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and headed its 2012 Ironman team. In consideration of your commitment to money management education and to inspire the next generation of financial professionals, Quinnipiac University is pleased to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters this 10th day of May, 2014.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations, Guy.
It's now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Guy Adami.
Good morning. For the last 8 years, my job on Fast Money has been to talk about the stock market. The show is live and unscripted, and those of you who watch know I'm never at a loss for words. However, this morning I'm at a loss to convey how honored I am to stand here before you. What I can offer you is this: thank you. Thank you, President Lahey, the Board of Trustees, and all of you. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to be a small part of this wonderful celebration this morning. This morning when I left the house, my son kissed him goodbye, and I thought he was going to give me some words of wisdom. But what he said to me was, Dad, remember, it's not about you, it's about the Quinnipiacians. And I didn't really know what that meant, but you know, it made a lot of sense from a 12-year-old. And make no mistake at all, this is your day. The years of hard work and sacrifice culminate with this ceremony. But just as you sacrificed to make it here today, Someone else sacrificed to help you attend Quinnipiac University many years ago. I will make but one request of you this morning. Each of you know who those people are. Many of them are sitting out here in the audience. Some of those people may not have been able to make it here today. A few of those people are no longer with us. But of this I am certain, be it on a phone call, a silent remembrance, or a heartfelt warm embrace, your gratitude will mean the world to those that gave you so much. So if we give those folks a round of applause right now, it'd be great. On August 1st, 2013, I received a letter from President Lahey inviting me to deliver today's commencement address. After the initial shock wore off, I started to think about all the great leaders to quote from. President Lincoln, Dr. Martin Luther King, Shakespeare, Rosa Parks, Robert Frost, Led Zeppelin. The list was endless. Where do I start? I was doomed. But then it dawned on me. I had a moment of clarity. A moment not unlike the epiphany the Grinch was blessed with on the top of Mount Crumpet. So with apologies to Dr. Seuss, I offer this Seuss-like poem. Maybe commencement speeches aren't doomed from the start. Maybe commencement speeches, perhaps, come straight from the heart. Quinnipiac University didn't invite me here today to quote Dickens. You've spent the last 18 years of your life listening to teachers and professors do that in their classrooms. I was asked here today to speak about my life experiences. I was asked here today to speak from the heart. So from the heart, I offer the following 3 things I've learned over my 50 years. And what's interesting is Elizabeth, in her address, touched on many of these things. Do not allow others to define who you are. I want to tell you a story. My parents met at Fordham University Law School in 1960. On their first day, one of the professors looked at my mother and the other 2 women in the classroom and said, "What are you doing here? If you're here to find a husband, you should get up and leave now." Well, with roots in Sicily, my mother was not easily scared. Right there, she decided that nobody was going to stop her from earning her law degree, and she did just that. My parents were married in January of 1963, and my mother took and passed the New York State bar exam in March of 1964, a mere 3 months after giving birth to me. On a side note, a sad note, my father passed away a few years ago. Last April, in his absence, I had the honor of taking my mother to her 50th reunion from Fordham Law School, and was one of the highlights of my life. I tell this story to illustrate a very specific point. Far too often we encounter people whose sole purpose in life seems to embody one word: discouragement. If my mother allowed that narrow-minded professor to discourage her, the path of her life would have changed dramatically. She would not have met my father, she would not have earned her law degree, and of the utmost importance, she would not have had me. Do not allow others to tell you what you are capable of achieving. Do not allow the opinions of others to define who you are or what you want to become. I'm the oldest of 5 children. The oldest child typically has the task of breaking new ground and theoretically making it easier for their siblings as they venture down the same roads. One of those roads was the entire process of applying to college. I grew up in a very small town in northern Westchester, and I was more than a bit naive. I didn't fully understand the competitive nature of being accepted to a university. One thing I did know, however, was my desire to attend Georgetown University. So on a random fall day in 1981, when my guidance counselor unequivocally told me I would never be accepted at Georgetown, my reaction was swift and instinctual. I got up out of my seat and I left. Nobody was going to discourage me. I was not going to allow the opinion of someone else to define who I was or what I wanted to become. My parents taught me that. My mother taught me that. When my letter of acceptance arrived from Georgetown in 1982, I was elated. One of the first things I did was go to my local library and make a Xerox copy. For those of you who don't know what that is, you have your phones, you can Google that. The next day in school, I marched myself into the guidance office and dropped the copy of my letter on that guidance counselor's desk and walked out. Thank you. As an 18-year-old, that foray into the guidance office took a certain degree of courage. It also proved to be one of the most empowering moments of my life. My second point, do not allow yourself to be paralyzed by fear. Elizabeth just spoke about that before. Fear has different effects on different people. You have all dealt with it many times in your lives. One of the things that I have found in both my professional and personal life is that fear paralyzes. That brings me to my next story. It's 1994, and I'm about 8 years into my career. I started that career on the commodity trading desk of Drexel Burnham Lambert on 60 Broad Street in Lower Manhattan. Drexel was the Oakland Raiders of Wall Street. Everybody loathed us, and none of us cared. When asked where we worked, we would defiantly say, Drexel. That renegade attitude, along with a man named Mike Milken, are the main reasons Rudy Giuliani, then the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, launched an investigation of a magnitude never seen before. That investigation led to the fall and subsequent bankruptcy of our once proud firm. But AIG saw something in our trading group and brought us in the midst of the chaos. Our office was no longer located on 60 Broad Street, but rather Greenwich, Connecticut. At AIG, one of our largest clients was Sir James Goldsmith. Sir James was a larger-than-life billionaire and a legend in our industry. On our trading desk, he had his own designated phone line, and he alone would use it. The entire desk would stop their activities when Sir James called, and there was only one person allowed to answer that line. On this particular day, the noted phone answerer was not there. He was off the desk when James called. Panic ensued. Nobody knew what to do. So in the maelstrom, I answered the phone. Hello, Sir James. This is Guy Adami. I'm the gold trader here on the desk. What can I help you with today? Trading desk was in shock. Who was I to pick up Sir James Goldsmith? What could I possibly tell him about the market that he didn't already know? Well, as fate would have it, he wasn't calling to discuss the market. He was calling to vent about his daughter Jemima's fiance. He wasn't thrilled that she was engaged to a cricket player. Well, 5 minutes became 30, and we had a wonderful conversation. So enjoyable, in fact, that going forward, he would request to speak with me. We became so close that later in '94, he offered to fly me to London to take his daughter out to dinner. I politely told him I'd have a hard time explaining it to my girlfriend at the time, who happens to be my wife today. So why do I tell this story? Well, first of all, I think it's a great story and it's a true story, but of more importance, it speaks to overcoming fear. When that phone rang, every person on the desk was paralyzed by it. Be it youthful exuberance, lack of intelligence, or some combination of the two, I trusted my instincts and made the decision to answer the call. I was not going to let fear paralyze me, and it was one of the best career decisions of my life. Which leads me to my third point. The greatest risk is not taking one. My final story. It's May of 2011. I was at my first board of directors meeting at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of New Jersey. At that meeting, an AML survivor was asked to tell his story. He described in heartbreaking detail his battle with this deadly disease. Now in remission, he told of his desire to compete in triathlons in order to raise money for the cause. Now, I'm a huge believer in the hand of fate, and as fate would have it, 3 days prior to that board meeting, the man in charge of the first ever New York City Ironman appeared on our show, Fast Money. He explained that for the last 5 years of his life, he'd been spent securing the licenses and logistics required to put on an event of this magnitude in New York City. Well, I sat in awe on a number of different levels. Who in their right mind would take on such insanity? But after the show, we exchanged pleasantries, and somehow I knew our paths would cross again. So as the AML survivor finished his presentation, I made the decision to raise my hand. For what it's worth, guys, I just met the guy in charge of the New York City Ironman. It sold out in 9 minutes. But if I call him, I'm sure he'll furnish us, the Leukemia Society, with some spots. The group was ecstatic. Within 30 minutes, I had secured 10 spots for one of the most anticipated Ironman events in recent memory. I told the director of LLS, and she was thrilled. Now, there's a saying in life, no good deed goes unpunished. And I was about to find out the hard way how true that was. Next day, she called me back. Guy, we are so happy. We're thrilled that you got those 10 spots. But what we really want is for you to put together the team, and we want you to compete in the Ironman. I was dumbfounded. My job over the last 25 years was to anticipate everything. How could I not see this coming? So at that moment, I had a choice. Politely decline, citing any number of 1,000 legitimate reasons, or take a chance, take a risk. I chose the latter. Now, I was a decent athlete at one time, but even at my peak, I was not an endurance athlete. I didn't run, I didn't swim, I didn't bike. Yet I just agreed to attempt something that a finite percentage of the population has ever completed. For those of you that do not know, an Ironman event consists of a 2.4-mile open water swim, followed by a 112-mile bike ride, which culminates in a marathon, a 26.2-mile run, and it's those 0.2 miles that are going to kill you. Let me tell you something. I was 47 years old. I weighed about 238 pounds. I'd get out of breath walking up a flight of stairs. What was I possibly thinking? Finish an Ironman? I'd be lucky to make it to the starting line. But make it I did. By the week of the event, my resting pulse was down to 46, and I tipped the scales at a very thin 189. But that August morning, I jumped into the Hudson River, scared out of my mind. On a side note, a few days prior, there was a raw sewage spill in Terrytown that threatened the entire event. I mean, you couldn't even make it any worse if you possibly tried. It's August in New York. Raw sewage spill in the Hudson. I'm in there with 2,000 of my closest friends, and I'm convinced there's a 50-50 shot that I was going to drown. But I made it out of the Hudson River. I made it off the bike. And 16 hours and 19 minutes later, I ran across the finish line with the voice of Mike Riley proclaiming, "Guy Adami from Morristown, New Jersey, congratulations, you're an Ironman." From our team of 10, 7 of us made it to the starting line that day, 6 of us finished. Our efforts raised close to $800,000, and the treatment we help fund today is changing lives and saving lives. Thank you. Deciding to attempt an Ironman was a colossal risk. Many things could have happened during the training and the actual event, and most of them were not pleasant. Now, you've heard countless interviews where the person being interviewed says something to the effect, "If I had to do it all over again, I would do it exactly the same way. I have no regrets." Well, I just don't think that's honest. I don't think they are purposely lying. I just think there's some revisionist history going on. We all live with regret. But when they called to ask me to build a team and compete in the Ironman, I knew right there that if my answer was no, I would regret it the rest of my life. I knew how much I needed to sacrifice in order to finish the Ironman, but from life experience, I also know this: the pain of regret is worse than the pain of sacrifice. So in closing, I am excited and I'm jealous because I know there are wonderful things that lie in store for all of you. To the extent possible, try to embrace the 3 things I discussed. Do not allow others to define who you are. Find the people in life that tell you what you are capable of. I mentioned Led Zeppelin before, and I was in high school, I think it's 1980, and In Through the Outdoor came out. It was their last studio album before John Bonham died. If you don't know who John Bonham is, you should Google that. But one of the songs on that album is All of My Love. They have a glockenspiel, beautiful song. But one of the lines in the song is, "One voice is clear above the din." Now, back then we didn't have Google, so I didn't really know what din was, but I sort of figured it out. It means one voice rises above the cacophony of sound that we hear in our lives all day. And you know what? If you think about it, the voice that rises above the din is the voice in your own head. Trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. Try not to allow fear to paralyze your ability to make decisions. Oftentimes, the only thing standing between you and life-changing accomplishments is getting over fear. And finally, embrace the notion of the greatest risk is not taking one. And please do not understand me. I'm not saying to be reckless, to be careless. What I'm saying is that life will provide you with many opportunities to take a chance that seemed crazy at the time. Don't shrug it off. Life is not a spectator sport, and almost always taking a risk puts you smack in the middle of the game. Work hard, be kind, and treat others the way you want to be treated yourself. And finally, everything I alluded to speaks to the foundation of an individual: integrity and character. And true character and integrity is defined by what you do when nobody else is watching. With that said, I look forward to hearing about all your achievements and accolades, and I will be watching. And please stay in touch in the years to come. Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations, everybody here.
Thank you, Guy. It's now my privilege to introduce Dr. Hans Bergman, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Greetings and congratulations to all of the graduates. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Molecular and Cell Biology please approach the podium? Osman M. Al-Ahmed. Zanab Saeed Al-Diab. Abdulaziz F. Al-Fahed. Essa G. Al-Harbi. Zanab Al-Ibrahim. Zanab M. Al-Julay. Fuad M. Al-Zarani. Ana Maria Cusano. Jennifer K. DeMuro. Joshua M. Gleason. Jamie M. Hernandez. Abdulati A. Giledi. Daniel J. Macri. Saria McKeithen-Mead. Sarah McKeithen-Mead is this year's recipient of the Academic Excellence Award in the Master of Science in Molecular and Cell Biology. A superb student, Saria is pursuing her thesis research in Dr. Kazimierzak's lab at Yale University, studying host pathogen interactions and microbiomes. Courtney Pietropolo. Laura M. Pyers. Heather C. Romano. Jeff Shaw. Cassandra M. Stinson. David C. Wu. And David A. Yacarino. Will those candidates please rise again? Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Molecular and Cell Biology.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Molecular and Cell Biology with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations.
It's now my privilege to introduce Dr. Matthew O'Connor, Dean of the School of Business.
Greetings from the School of Business and congratulations to all of today's graduates. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Business Administration please approach the podium? R. Anthony Allen. Danielle Appel. Jeffrey Lloyd Aschenfelter. Matthew Berry. Elizabeth Blake. Kim Brohan. Larry Brooks. Larry will receive his degree from his father-in-law, Carlton Highsmith, a member of the Board of Trustees. Jessica Weld Brown. Rajesh Budani. Lauren Michelle Wono. Kristen Burke. Alyssa Carcietta. Spencer Christian Cassidy. Robert Castilla. Kristen Lee Chase. Matthew Thomas Cregan. John DeBellis Jr. Lori DiBiase. Oyundari Dardsurin. Cassandra Marie Ducey. Kristen Engelke. Danny Fernandez. Diane Ferrer. Matthew Lawrence Fearbach. Vincent Finelli. Alexander Firestone. Nicole Alexis Fishman. Brianne Alyssa Frickus. Luis Garcia. Cara Maria Gaskin. Brad Gisherman. Kristen Gordon. Ryan Michael Grabe. Mary Louise Greeley. Maria Green. Diana Hernandez. John Robert Hood. Congrats. Kellen Jones. Amanda Koletsky. Kayla Ann Ketchison. Basil Anthony Casteris. Carrie Kuhn. Ariane Lee Kavetkis. Lisa Ladaney. Jessica Louise Lakeman. Jordan Shane Levine. Lorena Lima. Marta Lawrence. Shan Liu. Jamie Lucier. Elise Sharon McGuire. Konstantinos Maltazos. Lisa Masario. Robert Joseph McGrath. Natalie McGuire. Bevan McLean. Amber Miller. Jillian Moruzzi. Jillian will receive the Faculty Award for Academic Excellence in the MBA program. Jillian is receiving this award for her outstanding academic performance in maintaining a perfect 4.0 GPA. Jillian is being recognized for her dedication to her courses, her contributions to her class discussions, her intelligence, and her service to the School of Business as a graduate assistant. Congratulations. Sunny Nariani. Catalin Nemet. Kirsten Owens. Ola Ogunjobi. Mark Pandolfo. David Pulcini. Denise Rakoff. Allison Rago. Ariel Relaford. Brooks Robinson. Eric Anthony Sackman. Roberto Sanchez. George Sardis. Christopher Savastano. William Scully. Fabricio Silva. Alexander Susi. Matthew Stern. Jeffrey Tellman. Kelly Tracy. Ushish Upandaya. Mary Nicole Vaganis. Kevin Vogel. Anthony Volpe. Andrew Whedon. Robert Weinbach. Ann Wilkinson. Caitlin Wilson. C.U. Wu. Andrew Young. Nancy Zacharakis. Alexandra Zinowitz. Will the candidates for the degree Master in Business Administration please rise? Mr. President, it is my honor to present the candidates for the degree Master in Business Administration.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Business Administration with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Business Administration, Healthcare Management please approach the podium? Ann Colasso, Kunjan Divatia, Kaylee Kaiser, Craig Keena, Justin Mbajume, Linda Patine, Thomas Vaccarelli, Martha Vaughn. Whoops. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Business Administration, Healthcare Management please rise? Mr. President, it's my honor to present candidates for the degree Master of Business Administration, Healthcare Management.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Business Administration in Healthcare Management with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science, Information Technology please approach the podium? Michael DeCesare, Daena Johnson. Daena is receiving the Faculty Award for Academic Excellence in the MS in Information Technology program for her outstanding academic achievement in maintaining a 3.93 GPA. Daena's work is described as top-notch, superb, and extremely insightful. Her efforts elevated the quality of work produced by all of our graduates. Congratulations. J. Richard Ladosier. A. J. Mohanan. Mosi Moses. Tiago Rodriguez. Sasmita Satpati. Alex Schlagersky. Vernon Vieira. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science, Information Technology please rise? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Wait 1 second. France Paulman. Mr. President, I present to you candidates for the degree Master of Science in Information Technology.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Information Technology with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
I ask that the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Organizational Leadership, please approach the podium. Laura Alvarez. Melissa Bates. Lisa Bellamy Fluker. David James Bonavita. John Bossity. Jennifer Carrera. Anita Curtis. Olivia Darty. Catherine Lynn Donald. Leonora Fraser. Venice Gasper Ogis. Stephanie Gaeta. Angela Giltner. John Anthony Glass. Catherine Harrison. Willie Johnson. Rochelle Liska. Luis Marrero. Lindsay McDonald. Jacqueline Michelle Lisa Milikovic. Joseph Allen Muniz. Carla Natali. Karen Nickel. Robin O'Neill. Faith Sidani Palmer. Patricia Perugini. Michelle Radin. Yi Ren. Shui Yan. Kimberly Pogue Reed. Denise Rixkers. Michael Scadotto. Alexandra Jean Sexton. Joanne Velarde. Gustavo Velez. Paul Leonard Wesky. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Organizational Leadership please rise? Mr. President, it's my honor to present the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Organizational Leadership.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Organizational Leadership with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations.
It's now my privilege to introduce Lee Camlett, Dean of the School of Communications.
Good morning. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the School of Communications, congratulations to all the graduates and their families. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Interactive Media please approach the podium? Fernanda Ave. Nicole Marie Barron. Jamie Lynn Beckman. Christina Bailey. Kenneth Buffa. Alicia S. Chenard. Paris Michelle Coleman. Sarah M. Dampier. Ryan Dest. Lucia Ann Edwards. Aaron Tesher Feld. David Fontana. Eileen Freeman. Alexander Michael Gamble. Alexander is the winner of the Faculty Award for Academic Excellence, MS in Interactive Media. Alexander is receiving the Faculty Award in Interactive Media. He has always shown leadership and a superb work ethic, completed part of his degree while on active military service in Afghanistan. Larissa Hall. Thomas J. Hammer. Michael David Heflick. Jacqueline Michelle Izzo. Megan M. Malone. Angela Rachel Massio. Daniel P. McGrath. Larry Menti. Michael Matthew Morjesi III. Alejandra Navarro. Carly Ray Panning. Kimberly R. Penna. Joseph Regan Pulaski. Daniel R. Putnam. Danielle Catherine Renda. Richard Ruthman. Rebecca C. Salati. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Interactive Media please rise? Mr. President, it's my honor to present the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Interactive Media.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Interactive Media with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Journalism please approach the podium? Jane A. Ashley. Jane is receiving the Faculty Award for Academic Excellence, MS in Journalism, for achieving a perfect 4.0 grade point average. For her program Capstone, Jane is producing a documentary on the economic consequences stemming from the collapse of honeybee colonies in the United States. Ria N. Bell. Tessa M. Davis. Tanya L. Eichhoff. Caitlin M. Grimaldi, Troy Jacobs, Brian Joseph Cable, Dominic M. Lancella, Caitlin M. Markley, Zachary M. Russo, Kathleen P. Schassler, Umar Shannon, Edward E. Small, Aaron Sorensen, Erica L. Vingiano, Will the candidates for the degree Master in Science in Journalism please rise? Mr. President, it's my honor to present the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Journalism.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Journalism with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Public Relations please approach the podium? Joseph M. Avina, Bethany K. Buckholz, Karina Fensterseifer. Karina is this year's winner of the Faculty Award for Academic Excellence, MS in Public Relations. Karina has co-authored 2 research papers, one which was presented at the 2013 International Studies Association Convention, and the other which is under review by the Association for Education in Journalism and Mass Communications. Congratulations. Catherine Rose Glidden, Sarah M. Gennaro, Janelle O. Joseph, Yachu Lai, Robert J. McLarney, Max E. McNall, Katie Isabella Milano. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Public Relations please rise? Mr. President, it's my honor to present the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Public Relations.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Public Relations with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Kevin Besmajian, Dean of the School of Education.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. On behalf of the School of Education, I wish to condole my sincere accomplishments to the graduating class, all of today's graduates and their families. I'd ask the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Teaching Elementary Education please approach the podium. Cara Elizabeth Albers. Alyssa Paige Andriucci. Amanda Marie Angeletta. Nicole Arata. Rachel Bettino. Lauren R. Bernaccia. Nicole Ann Bianco. Kimberly R. Bode. Christina Francis Borger. Adriana Chiapelli. Cynthia Louise Clark. Kristen Patricia Corcoran. Jessica Marie Cusimano. Ashley Nicole Dapolito. Jenna Nicole Dizio. Sarah Elizabeth Drew. Erica Paige Dolney. Bethany Ann Demarchik. Megan Elizabeth Ferrone. Alyssa Lauren Fine. Melissa Ann Franklin. Richard J. Healy. Amanda Rose Hegler. Amanda is the recipient of the Excellence in Scholarship and Teaching Award in Elementary Education for her exceptionally thoughtful action research project, as well as her notable accomplishments and exceptional performance during student teaching. Congratulations, Amanda. Jessica Marie Jolene. Emily A. Cupper. Erica Lanzalato. Sarah Elaine Larson. Christina Louise Lubeski. Jacqueline Louise Magner. Alexandra Mandel. Emily Ann Mason. Anna Marie L. McCarthy. Caroline Margaret McCarthy. Nicole Rose McEachern. Cassandra M. McGovern. Anthony Thomas Messina. Kimberly Ann Noel. Cassandra Jean Pacella. Jessica Corin Payne. Marie A. Pescatori. Alyssa M. Rafala. Deja Melena Restrepo. Lindsay Brooke Rosenberg. James L. Russell. Stephanie Marie Segro. Emily Mara Shabazian. Carissa L. Wilson. Amanda Jean Wishart. Would the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Teaching, Elementary Education, please rise? President Lahey, it is my honor to present to you the graduate candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Teaching, Elementary Education.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Teaching in Elementary Education with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Would the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Teaching, Secondary Education, please approach the podium? Jennifer Grace Andriazzi. Lee A. Barone. Adriana M. Biondi. Rachel Ann Casella. Stephanie Clark. Sean Peter Cosgrove. Lisa Curatola. Allison E. Dombrowski. Amanda Erin Donovan. Bridget Arlene Figmick. Elise Annette Gomez. Kristen Lynn Helinski. Mary Catherine Hinman. Allison Joan Juckett. Brianna Conchetta Kelly. Marie Cassandra Kraft. Daniela Virginia Mataloni. Molly Lynn Mahoney. Alexa Marie Marquardt. Nicole Lynn Marte. Michael E. Mezzincello. Matthew L. Middaw. Melissa Marie Mullaney. Shannon C. Navroth. Jennifer Marie Neville. Erin Kathleen Reed. Virginia Marie Roussel. Alexander Savino. Christina Marie Scaglione. Evan Carlton Soderholm. Erin Elizabeth Sperling. Catherine Elizabeth Thompson. Michael J. Sullivan. Daena Elise Zambiletti. And Emily Catherine Zwart. Emily is the recipient of the Excellence in Scholarship and Teaching Award in Secondary Education for her exceptionally thoughtful action research project, as well as her notable accomplishments and exceptional performance during student teaching. Congratulations, Emily. I'd like to ask the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Teaching and Secondary Education to please rise. President Lahey, it is my honor to present to you the candidates for Master of Arts in Teaching degree in Secondary Education.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Teaching in Secondary Education with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Candidates for the degree of Master in Science and Teacher Leadership, please approach the podium. Matthew M. Calvines. James A. Genova. James is the recipient of the Excellence in Scholarship and Leadership Award in Teacher Leadership for his exceptional performance in all of his courses, his deep knowledge of national leadership standards, and his ability to apply those standards in his work as a teacher leader. Congratulations, James. Emily Munzer. Jacqueline Jean Peck. Sieta Ray. Would the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Teacher Leadership please rise? President Lahey, it is my honor to present the candidates for Master of Science in Teacher Leadership.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Teacher Leadership with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
And finally, would candidates for the 6th-year Diploma in Educational Leadership please approach the podium? Carrie Baranski, Shannon P. Bro, Brian David Hutton, Rodney Irizarry, Christine L. Coolwind, Adeline Marzialo. Adeline is the recipient of the Excellence in Scholarship and Leadership Award in Educational Leadership for her exceptional performance in all of her courses, her deep knowledge of national leadership standards, and her ability to apply those standards in her work as a school administrator. Congratulations, Adeline. Heather F. Saar, Tanya Stout. Would the candidates for the 6th-year Diploma in Educational Leadership please rise? President Lahey, it is my honor to present to you the candidates for the 6th-year Diploma in Educational Leadership.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of 6-year Diploma in Educational Leadership with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations and best wishes to all of our graduates today. I'd ask everyone if you would please rise. I'd ask that you remain standing until the platform party and faculty have recessed. I'd like to invite graduates and their families to a reception at the Rocky Top Student Center, which is the building at the top of the hill, just out this way. I'd ask graduates to meet their families at the Rocky Top Student Center. It's now my privilege to ask Pastor Andrew Ober, Protestant Chaplain, to please come forward and close this year's exercises.
Let us pray. Dear God, I pray that you would continue to watch over these graduates as they depart. Out of your glorious riches and through your power, strengthen them in their inner being. Sustain them, protect them, and challenge them. May the class of 2014 be known for its desire not to be served, but to serve, and for the courage to live out their callings and to bring love, peace, and justice to a needy world. In your name we pray. Amen.